So hi everyone, welcome to this lab where we're going to do a storage bucket. To be able to do that, we first need to go to Google Cloud Storage. The easiest way to do that, in my opinion, is to just search for it and then click on the correct result. We already have one demo bucket over here, but in this demo, let's go and take a look at how we create one. They don't cost anything, so we might just as well, create new ones. Okay, first thing that we need to do over here in the UI is to name our bucket. It gives us pretty good ideas here. So for example, we should use example as the bucket. Okay, let's do that and continue. Oh, the bucket name is already taken. Yes, we needed to pick a globally unique name. So we can try a couple of different things out here. So we could, use example underscore bucket -1. But that's taken already as well. Well, I guess all of the examples given over here are already taken. So what were other things that we were not allowed to do, right? We were not allowed to use capital letters, right? Only lowercase letters, numbers, hyphens, and underscores. What about numbers? That should be okay. What about the number 1, 2, 3? Is that okay? No, that's taken already. And then we weren't allowed to use dots, so we can't use an IP address, right? Yeah, that's not allowed. And dots are only allowed to form a valid domain name. So in the questions section, Mikko actually asked whether we can create a bucket based on dots only. And yeah, that won't work because we can't form a valid domain name using this. So yeah, doesn't let us continue from here. So that's taken care of. Similarly, we couldn't start it with Google, right? Or we couldn't say like my Google or Google bucket. This was probably not allowed. It is now. It's probably gonna not allow it later on in the process. But yeah, so let's create a bucket. If we want to use a common name, that's okay. Remember, when you're naming your bucket, one of the reasons for naming it something is to convey information about the use case that you're using the bucket for. So if this is an example bucket and you would want to use the name as example, but you can't due to the fact that that bucket name is already taken, there are a couple of different things that you can do. First of all, you can do a hyphen and then add random information, right? Like that. So this is probably a unique bucket. However, now it is hard for you to remember this postfixed randomness, right? So you need to know what that is. Well, one of the things that we can do is we can add the project name to the end of the bucket or to the beginning of the bucket, because the project name itself is often available as a variable or an environment variable within Google Cloud. So I'm going to do that. This is my project name. Another option would be the project number. However, that's not visible over here. So example, it's going to be. Then we need to select the type of location that we want to use. So we're going to be talking about this also during the pricing part. But basically what we can select from is regional buckets, in which case we're defining the region where our data is, right? So we can quite exactly say where our data is up to the country level at least. And then of course the data will be available with lowest latency if we are consuming our data from that region as well. Then the next option here would be a dual region. So here we have two different regions which are named, like Netherlands and Finland, where our data will be located. And again, if our consumer is in either of these regions, then we would get very low latency access to those. And this gives higher availability because now we're also having geo-redundancy, right? So we're not dependent on the geographical location of the data. And then last we have multi-region. With multi-region, Google Cloud places our data into at least two regions within a geography. So here we can select between US, European Union, and Asia. And then again, we will get low latency access from within that region. I'm just going to make it a EU multi-region for now. Next up, we can choose a default storage class for our data. So now what we're doing is we're not actually setting up a property of the bucket itself. Rather, this is the default storage class for any new data that gets uploaded without specifying any specific storage class, right? And of course, we can select between standard, nearline, quote line, and archive. Standard is the one we're going to take. And then we can add some controls. So either uniform bucket access, which is the preferred one, or fine-grained. Additionally, there is this public access prevention feature, which is now in preview, which we can enforce. We're not going to do that as we will be creating some publicly available data onto this bucket. And then finally, we have some advanced settings. We can set up the encryption to be using a customer managed encryption key. And then we could select that key. Not going to do that now. And then we could also set a retention policy here. We're going to be talking about that later in the course as well. Then create, and we will have created a bucket.